Hey guys, welcome to this quick tutorial. It's ZEVENX here, bringing you guys some fresh new tutorials based around progressive house. A lot of people have been asking me questions about that lately. That's a genre that I have loved making for a long time now, and I figured that over time, as it's changed a little bit, or my techniques have changed a little bit, I'd like to give a tutorial on that, as well as the fact that I used to have a tutorial series around progressive house. I wanted to kind of finish that off and just give you some updated information. So I have here a remix that I did, Remind Me to Forget by Kygo, with I think Miguel on the vocals. And so here's the song. I'm just going to play through it real quick. The project file will be available for download, so stick around for that. I'll announce more details about that in the video, but here we go.
Holding on to my chest, maybe you left your mark, reminding me to forget. It doesn't matter where you are, you can keep my regret. Baby, I got these scars, reminding me to forget. Reminding me I got these scars to forget your love. Keep reminding me, oh, to forget your love. You left your friend.
Cool. So there you have kind of like an Afrojack style of progressive house remix here, basically. I feel like the leads are very similar in that sense. And so just to talk about the track real quick, so obviously I started with downloading the stems from this track. So here are the vocals from this remix.
It never fades away. It stands. Baby, it hits so hard. I'm holding on to my chest.
Now, if you know the song, you would be able to tell that they're actually transposed. So originally, there you go, like this.
It never fades away. Never fades away. Baby, it hits so hard.
But I transposed it down 2 semitones.
Baby, it hits so hard.
It goes into a key that I really like and I'm familiar with, B flat major. I preferred to do the remix in that key, and also so that I could show you guys this remix project without getting flagged, and also.
Oh, keep reminding me, oh, to forget your love. You left your friend.
So there's that. I won't go too much into that yet because, like I said, this project will be available for download, so you'll be able to see what I did here. I froze any track that I had third-party plugins that I used for it. So here, so these vocal kind of chops are from the chorus section, which I added reverb to, an EQ, OTT, and then the LFO tool for sidechaining, and I really increased the depth of that sidechain, so that has that really pumping effect, because I wanted the vocal chop effect to kind of come in and out where you don't hear it the whole way through, but it's just kind of popping in here and there throughout the drop. So I mean, essentially that's that section. Anything from the original song. I have this section too, obviously, that I transposed down as well. So there's that, and here we have the verse synths, very simple stuff, piano and pad. And here's the pad. Just really windy and airy. I think both are, so the piano I used from Ableton's built-in piano, pad I used Serum. And like I said, you can unfreeze any of these tracks if you have the plugins, but I froze them that way you can still get the sound of it, even if you don't own the plugins. Moving on, we have the drop synths. So to be specific about that, that is not the lead synths that I'm talking about. This is more like supporting synths that add support to the main drop lead to kind of build the width of the song and kind of fill out some of those frequencies that aren't all the way at the top, but just give it a fuller sound. So I'll just go through each layer real quick. So ping pong, delay, ballad reverb, built-in Ableton preset, and the built-in grand piano from Ableton with sidechaining on it. Very simple. I turned the velocity all the way up and the brightness all the way up to kind of get that brighter, almost Avicii style piano. And then we have these saws. Just really high, bright synths to kind of bring out the brightness of the song and really make it pop during the drop. So in this one, I got a little bit more complex. I think that adding a layer of synths that are similar to the other ones but have a little bit of a twist can really make the drop a little bit more interesting in the slightest way. You don't want it to take away from the main lead melody, but I think that there's a few things in here that make it more interesting. So here we have, if you can look at the MIDI, these really chopped up notes, so it kind of does like a rolling effect. And so when that rolling effect isn't happening at the end of that sequence, I have a tape stop effect that happens at this sequence. And so that just kind of has a lot of wonky stuff going on, and like I said, just kind of adds to everything as a whole. Everything is kind of mixed just with the levels. I didn't focus too much on panning this time because it was kind of a quick thing. But if you wanted to pan, I think that would really make a big difference. Maybe even doubling the same synth and then just panning hard left and right if you really wanted to. But for this drop, I mean, it did the job, so it was good there. And then we have the bass. So here we have a sub bass and a mid bass. The sub bass is obviously those low notes that really fill out the lower frequency range that will really get the speakers pumping. So you can see it's a little bit more chopped rather than these whole notes going all the way through, because we really want them pumping right after the kick goes through, because it's pretty punchy. So with the bass there, it'll be a good balance. And then we have the mid bass. It's kind of that more gritty style of bass that really gives it that energy driving sense of the drop. So really great in progressive house. Like I said, oftentimes this is the kind of basses that you'll have in those kind of tracks. And even if you wanted to go a step further, you could have more of a pluckier bass that, or really ultimately it'll be like a synth at that point. But it's for those lower frequency support synths. So something a little pluckier to kind of get a rolling effect, kind of like you hear in trance. And I mean, you could add that, and that might help a little bit to add to the energy of the drop. That with the drums sounds like this. I'll even add the effects. So as you can tell, at that point, we're pretty full on the spectrum here. But we really need that pop at the drop where it really stands out and we have something leading everything. So here we have the main melody, and I'll just go through each one, and I have them labeled as to the kind of characteristic that the synth has. So this one I call the Afro synth because it's very much like an Afrojack progressive house type of synth. So really screechy, and has a lot of character and just kind of has a weird sound to it, a little detuned, just kind of a weird freaky sound, but that's going to be your main lead sound. And then usually what I do is at that point all the other layers of melody, because you need to have layers, that's the key to progressive house, are there to support, and so I have them a little bit panned, and different types of sounds, as well as mixed at different volumes. So Afro synth is at -7.6 dB. There's a drastic change from the supporting main lead. So here's the other supporting lead. I chose this buzz type of lead to again add another layer of energy, where it's really almost like an annoying type of sound, but it drives the sound to another level, and it's very wide, so panning it a little bit to the left is gonna support that main sound. And then here we have the synth that I'm panning to the right. Typical saw synth, just really basic and essential to this kind of sound, to get, like I said, that kind of bright pop during the drop, because you know, in the beginning verse or even the build up, you're not going to want too much of that, because you really want this section to stand out from the rest of the song. So you need something like that. And then here's another annoying sound, again, just to kind of add another layer. And some of these are transposed in different octaves, so keep that in mind. So really, really moving in a lot of directions. You can hear kind of almost like a flanger effect, a little bit of like automatic panning. So all of the leads together. And then within that group that I have an equalizer, just kind of adjusting these frequencies, cutting out some of those low frequencies we don't need, boosting some of the high. And if you'd like here, I included an EQ8 that is the same EQ effect as the Fab Filter EQ that I use. I like the Fab Filter EQ because you can do some sharper cuts and just different kinds of cuts here for the frequency. So on the low cut, you can actually have the range up to 96 dB to get a sharper cut. But I think I had it at 12 because I just want to taper off, and then here you can adjust things as well. Anyways, that's what I used, but if you don't have that, then turn this off and then turn on the EQ8. And then moving on, we have the ballad reverb, just adding a little bit of width to the sound as a whole. A little bit of overdrive to add to those high frequencies, kind of that driving sound. Very subtle. Compressor just to kind of mash everything together, and then an auto filter where I have some effects going throughout the song. So kind of towards the drop, it dips a little bit, it comes up, dips a little bit, and then really just kind of crashes during the drop. So that's the main section of the drop. And then going down to the drums, I'll go through this real quick because it's nothing too crazy. The main thing that I want to point out here is that I have a snare and a tom build. Now the reason, because normally you just have like a snare build or something, maybe a kick. The tom adds a little bit of tonality to the build-up drums, but also I was watching Matt McGuire, the drummer for the Chainsmokers, for their live performances, and something I noticed in his cover videos, whenever he does a song, he always adds toms during the build-up section, so I kind of wanted to try that, and I thought it added a really cool tone to the drums there. And then just a big clap. So crash, because it's a new kind of little section where we're starting this build up, and I just wanted to add that impact. So there I had a filter effect to kind of sweep it out. And there is a combination there of my fill, which is this sound plus that kind of Pride-esque snare. And then there's that fill. Very Afrojack too, actually, which I realized afterwards, so that's kind of why it all went together. And then the effects. This is something that often gets forgotten or is barely used, especially for newer producers. This is super essential. It adds a lot of energy and a lot of direction towards where you're trying to go in the song. A lot of people don't add these things or don't know how to add them because they can often get really cluttered. So mixing these just right is really the key. But just really basic stuff. It doesn't have to get too crazy. Typical impact, riser effects, kind of a noise effect, transition cymbal, sweep down, this kind of a transition effect, kind of a wind up effect. All really key to making the listener know that there's going to be something big coming up. I'll talk about the drums during the drop real quick because there's a little bit of a difference. We have the main kick here. I like it. It has a nice thump, but I added a top kick there to kind of punch through. Just hit those higher frequencies, the crash, and these crashes just kind of add that splash in the beginning to really make the difference from the build up to the drop. And then these rides here just kind of add to that white noise type of sound. Claps. And then in this section I have some I have hi-hats somewhere. Where are they? Really? Or maybe I don't. Yeah, right here. So essentially that's it. I mean, those are all the different layers. You're going to have the project file so you can really dive into it however you like, take it apart, reconstruct it. So yeah, have fun with it. I have everything here labeled. Like I said, keep things frozen if you don't have the plugins. But if you do, feel free to unfreeze them and just kind of work with the project. I'm probably going to be releasing this remix on my SoundCloud or something like that. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'll leave a link in the description where you guys can download it, and probably in the comments as well. And yeah, I mean, if anyone takes this project and releases it as their own remix, I mean, someone's gonna let me know. I think my last tutorial, the Marshmallow one of the Jack U Justin Bieber remix that I did, a lot of people just took it, reposted it as their own, which really I don't care, but people let me know about it, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, anyways, I mean, have fun with this song. If anything, you know, take some of the elements from the original, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me see. What I'm gonna do is, yeah, I think that if you just let me see, because the vocals are included here. My warping is all there, so it'll be really good. I have some EQ on there, so just, you know, adjust the song however you need to, but there's a lot of elements here that you can use for sure. So thanks for watching. I have more tutorials coming on different styles of songs that some of you guys have been asking me to make, so the next one will probably be like a trance tutorial. I'll probably do one on some sort of big room style and just anything else. I mean, I have a lot of project files where I have all these different techniques that I can show you guys. So anyways, enjoy the project file, get into it. Let me know what you guys think. And if you guys have any suggestions for new videos, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks.